This episode of the After Ascension podcast is brought to you by CBD Pure. CBD Pure is the most powerful and beneficial CBD on the market today. The link is in the description, and I'd like to thank you ahead of time for supporting this podcast. Hello everyone, welcome to the After Ascension podcast. This is episode number 14. Happy to be here with you guys, and I'd like to say thank you for the support on last episode. So far, that's the highest rated episode and has the most views, so thank you very much. Thank you for sharing the podcast. It really means a lot to us here, and we're hoping to keep this thing going as long as possible. Things are going well. I'm a new dad, obviously exhausted. And that's fine, but I'm just wondering, when do you sleep? Or actually, I guess the real question is, when do you do anything? Because of the quarantine, we've had, really no help, which is fine, But the little guy won't let us put him down or else he starts screaming. And I'm actually surprisingly okay with that. I want to hold him. I don't want to put him down because he's already changing so much. And I just want to soak in every moment of being a dad to a newborn because it's really rewarding so far. But anyways, this podcast is not about me. It's about you. And to all my fellow lightworkers, old souls, way showers, whatever title you give yourself out there, let's go ahead and take a moment to acknowledge our team and be thankful that we're in a position of knowledge during times that seem a little strange out there. So go ahead and do that with me now. Okay, thank you very much for doing that with me. I just want to say first thing, there's a lot of heavy energies going on right now because there's a lot of people that are uninformed and just kind of going with the given narrative that is they're in trouble and they could get something if they do something the wrong way or if they don't follow the guidelines that are given at this time. Many of you are noticing that you're sort of picking up on the uneasy vibes that are sort of circulating around in the collective. And when that happens, it can be a little difficult at times to sort of shake yourself free. And my advice to you would be to simply get into water. Whatever water source you can find. Doesn't matter if it's your shower or, a little stream, river, or lake. Obviously, the purer the source you're going to, the better your results will be. But the key is to make it a visual meditation. Imagine yourself covered in sludge, and as the water runs over you, that sludge just sort of melts away, and as it does, your light body appears from underneath it. And, visualize that going down the drain, visualize yourself getting clean, and then, move forward feeling refreshed and back on top of things. Because even the best of us are going to have highs and lows. There's no avoiding that. But what you can do is minimize and limit when that does happen, because obviously getting back on top of that high vibratory state is very important for us at this time. And one of the best ways to do that is to take advantage of the tools that are surrounding us that nature has provided, meaning water, sunlight, breathing with intent, noticing wildlife, birds, even the bugs, whatever the case may be. Sometimes the best thing you can do is just stop yourself and be present and, acknowledge the systems around us and the family around us and the ancestors that came before, and just be aware in that now moment that you are involved in something, that you're a part of something special, and your participation and how you carry yourself is very important, not just to you, but everyone we share the planet with, and everybody who will come after is going to benefit from the work that you're doing in this moment now. And as I say that, the question comes to my head, why are you doing it? Why are you involved in something that's so far out of the box? Why do you allow yourself to wake up every day and put so much trust into the unseen? And the answer to that is simple, and I'm going to give it to you. It's because it feels right in your gut. It's a bubble of truth and excitement and love that just expands every day, and you just want to know where it's coming from and why it wasn't there before. And I'll tell you why it wasn't there before and what's stopping so many others from having that same feeling. It was always the plan for you to wake up in this lifetime. Not everybody shares that same plan with you. Many more will awaken. I've heard some people say that everybody who's awake is awake now and that's it. No one else is going to wake up. And that's garbage. There's going to be a lot more. That's why many teachers at this time are coming online, so we can facilitate the need for the spiritual truth that people are going to be thirsting for. And you know that thirst well. But right now, behind the scenes, a lot of people's higher selves are just waiting to pull that curtain down. And what are they going to get? They're going to get that bubble in their gut, just like you did at the beginning, and just like you still have now. And then suddenly all of these systems in place that are meant to suppress people, feed disinformation, and just sort of keep our heart spaces closed are going to implode on themselves because they don't have the attention that they once did. People aren't buying the tickets anymore. This old stuff is not going to work. And when this process starts working, like it already has, it looks very chaotic, in case you haven't noticed. But that's fine because we know the truth about what's going on. We've been preparing for it for some of us a decade or more. But put yourself in the position of someone who isn't informed like you are, who has their filters up still, and relies on the 3D structure that's currently in place to validate their reality. It would be a little scary, right? And that's fine, but the reason I'm telling you this is you should be prepared for people to come to you. You should be aware that that is going to come with a certain energy. But now is the time when all that training is really going to start to pay off for you. And maybe nobody comes to you. But being able to moment hold your light and have an understanding that any discomfort that this structure is going through as it rebuilds itself is only temporary. And the results that follow are worth a little bit of discomfort to get to. So with that in mind, it's very important for you to remember who you are. And at this time, you must walk, talk, eat, sleep, and behave as the most authentic version of yourself. And that brings me to my next question. How do you see yourself? Are you still caught up in what you see in the mirror every day? Are you just simply an accumulation of a bunch of different experiences and mistakes? Do you feel like you have a lot to work on before you can become that authentic version of you? Well, let me say something to you very clearly. You don't have shit to work on. And right now you might be thinking, what do you mean? I could do better in this area. I could do this better. I could learn this. And that's fine to think that way, but just know that that's just the character you're playing. And if you think Spirit and your higher self looks at you and thinks, hey, they're still unworthy because they have this and this and this that they need to get figured out. Or all this work is doing is great, but, you know, they made this really bad mistake in the past. That seems so silly, right? And that's not how it is at all. That's like, let's say your family member, your brother, is in a play. And in that play, he plays a murderer or someone who is a criminal and does all this bad stuff. And then after the play, he comes up to you and asks what you thought, and you're like, giving the cold shoulder, okay, murderer, why are you talking to me? That's like the silliest thing you can think of happening, right? Well, why would Spirit judge you based on something you did as this character you're playing? That's not how it works. They only see you as you are, as you really are, as in this universe never existed and this game never existed and was never participated in. They don't care at all about what you've done here. What they do care about is that you see yourself as they see you. And if you're able to hold on to that and move forward, That's a huge breakthrough. And maybe it's one that you needed to happen. So what's being asked of you is that you reclaim that value. So then you open the door for everyone else to have that same opportunity. That's love. That's free will. That's ascension at its finest. So would you do that for your family? Would you do that for your brothers and sisters here? Because they're just playing a character too. They're walking around this earth in a suit just like you are. And this suit was designed, along with everything else here, to create the illusion of separation. And that's okay. We know what we signed up for. But we also know the potential that lies here. And we know how to tip the scales back in favor of the light because it's our specialty. But even if this has all been done before and the ascension process is something that happens all over the universe all the time, doesn't mean that what's happening here isn't unique and special, because it is. And your participation and the light you're generating is making ripple waves throughout the universe. But honestly, there's no rush. Take your time. Make sure you're collected. Make sure you're calm. Make sure you're processing what's going on appropriately. I feel like it's really important at this time to sort of take a step back and evaluate where you are and how you're processing this experience. Think about the most spiritual, connected, influential people throughout history. They were reevaluating their reality and integrating more light and more knowledge on a moment-to-moment basis. The learning never ends. Never. And the minute you think you know it all, you might as well put yourself right back at the starting position, because there's no time for that. And if you're caught up in what this reality is trying to convince you that you are, you're just going to spin. And that can be a very difficult cycle to break free from. And if you're sitting there feeling like you're stuck, not getting everything at once like you expected, that's basically the same issue. And those sort of frustrations are going to stunt your growth, because the ascension process is like a slow trickle of water. And if you're taking care of business and doing everything the way that you know how to do, that trickle is going to continue. But if you're spending a lot of time in frustration and having doubt about what's going on, you're going to stop that trickle. But, if you do everything right, pretty soon you're going to have a bucket of water that can be used to put out any fire that comes your way. So, your mission here is to see yourself as spirit sees you, and in that energy, you unlock your internal compass, because you've tuned yourself to the right frequency. The universe is all about frequency. It doesn't care about anything else. It has no other judgments, no agendas. Whatever frequency you're emitting is what it responds to. Let that sink in. It makes everything else seem a lot less complicated, doesn't it? Why do we try to make it so complicated to begin with? Can't we just accept that attracting and manifesting is a simple process? Maybe it's time some of us took a new angle. Like, if we've been trying and trying to do something for so long but haven't really gotten any results, at least not the ones we were expecting, maybe it's time to put those expectations on the back burner and just be. Just walk the earth in a state of gratitude, in a state of appreciation, or whatever high vibrational frequency that you want to exist in, and see what happens. What's it going to hurt if you put everything else aside and just make it a point to exist as that pure state of being? And the answer to that is it's not going to hurt anything. It's not going to stop anything from coming to you, because Spirit already knows your value and it already knows what you're trying to do. Your expectations are known. So become the pure embodiment of that master energy and see what happens. That's the quantum way of being. And outside of here, that's how everything works. So it's now your job to anchor that here, and the universe will reward you for having that intent. Each one of us has a unique set of challenges. And a lot of our brothers and sisters out there maybe don't feel like they're getting it. But if you're someone who feels like you're in the right place to be able to help people, make yourself available. Let us really work towards supporting each other in overcoming some of the difficult things that are being thrown in our way. Some spiritual influencers out there won't even offer a word of advice or help unless that person fills their wallet. And we've all seen it before. And, it's fine to get paid for your service and your work. That's not what I'm meaning. But it doesn't take a lot to help someone out who's struggling, or who maybe just needs a little bit of encouragement to get back up on that horse. Because at the end of the day, we came here with the mission to help this planet ascend, and we swore that we would do that by any means necessary. So if you've been thinking about starting a YouTube channel, starting a blog, starting a Facebook group, starting a podcast, whatever the case may be, now is the time to do it. And yeah, sure, at time, building something up like that can be really slow. But even if you start a YouTube channel and you make a video and it gets 10 views, the second someone reaches out to you and says that you helped them get back on the right track, there's very little in the ascension process that is more rewarding than that. And maybe that video you worked on for so long only helped that one person. But that healing energy that was created between you two is going to propel you both forward. And I say that from experience, and I say that with love in my heart for everyone who's taking this thing seriously and doing the best they can. And with that being said, I'm going to conclude this episode, and I hope you find comfort. I hope you find motivation in my words. And I started this podcast with the intent of being in service. So thank you very much for contributing your energy to this space that I've created. I've got nothing but love for all of you out there. And I appreciate all of you who have been emailing me. I try to respond to everyone personally. Lately, I've been a little bit behind on that kind of stuff just because, we're adjusting to the newborn here. And, when you have one of those little guys, time just seems to fly for some reason. But we're doing our best, and hopefully we'll be back to posting 2 podcast episodes a week just as soon as we get this new routine down. So until next time, I hope that you remember to believe in yourself. I hope you always trust the process and never ever doubt your worth. Namaste. Love you, family.